Good morning, Mr. Holmes. Can I help you?
Good morning, Constable. I would like to speak to the fellow who was arrested at Woodman's Lee last night.
Ah, the young man. He's waiting in the interrogation room. You can go straight through.
Thank you. Does this notebook belong?
Yes.
What do... The sea knife was...
I don't know.
Well, I will see you...
Please, let me go. I'm innocent.
These are the suspect's belongings. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. A handkerchief with the initials JHN. From R. Dawson. To my friend and partner, 1883. Dawson. I've seen this name before. Perhaps my archive holds the answer. The notebook that we found on Peter Carey's cabin floor. These abbreviations mean something, but what? The police seized this valuable ring from you. Whose is it?
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The police
I didn't steal it from anyone. It has always belonged to me.
The ring's date of engraving is many years ago. You would have been a child then, hardly in any position to receive such an item from a partner. So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner of the ring?
The ring is mine.
So, Mr.
The ring is mine.
So, Mr.
The ring is mine.
So, Mr. Nelligan.
The ring is mine.
Never mind. So, Mr. Nelligan, who...
The ring is mine.
So, Mr. Nelligan, who is the true owner?
The ring is mine.
No, Mr. Nelligan. I believe that the ring had belonged to your father.
Oh, but how do you know?
Furthermore, the garment is ill-fitting. It is quite clear that it belonged... With your father gone and taking with him the family's wealth, as a little boy you had to find yourself a manual job.
I'm speechless, Mr. Holmes. It all happened exactly as you say.
Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least... Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect. Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect. Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you...
These are the suspect's belongings. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. A pocket knife. It was used to force the door of Peter Carey's cabin. These abbreviations mean something, but what? A handkerchief with the initials JHN.
What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong. What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong. What am I doing here? I've done nothing wrong.
Mr. Holmes?
Locked. That is not the one I need. 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 That is not the... That is not the one I need. 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 That is... Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to what connects him with...
Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. I need to stage a reconstruction. I'm sure that Watson would be happy to oblige. Dundee. Hammerfest. It's a whaling map. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. That should do it. Now I am ready for the experiment. Someone drank from this glass recently. Rum, a sailor's drink. A spot of whaling, Watson. Would you care to take part?
Are you serious?
No, but we do need to clarify what happened on the night of Black Peter's...
A reenactment, then?
The sailor's knife, Watson. What?
Peter Carey attempted to defend himself?
It is possible, but...
I don't quite follow.
Tell me, my friend, what is the animal closest to man? More...
Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before.
No.
Thank goodness for that.
I wish to impale one with a harpoon.
Wonderful.
Watson, let us pay a visit to our butcher.
And the harpoon?
One of the harpoons on the wall of Black Peter's cabin should do. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon. He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You have indeed suffered.
Yes.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You have in... He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You have... He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh, my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the cathedral, the shortest route for the pilgrim. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
Who could do such a thing? My poor husband.
The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book, a box or a small chest, perhaps.
Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much.
To indulge myself in a little experiment.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test. The harpoon has struck the body, but with insufficient strength.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course. Good gracious, you caught someone. At least now you have a suspect.
My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country Bank.
Yes. Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon...
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel... My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his small yacht, just a few days before he left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with...
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance.